In the spirit of my podcast from several years ago, I'm doing a riff, and it's been a long time since I've done a riff on this podcast. This goes back to the Mindset to Manifestation days of what I was doing here, and I was teaching myself while teaching others about the power of our subconscious mind, transforming from one identity to another, accessing parallel universes is the way I like to envision it, like tapping into that alternate version of yourself that is already doing the thing that it is that you want to do, but are struggling with embracing that new identity and what that looks like, feels like, sounds like, moves like. And in the spirit of that, I am here to riff on transformation. When I think about the root of all of my work, whether it's this podcast, whether it's coaching, whether it's energy work from years ago, real estate development, positioning and marketing a luxury new development project, all of it is rooted in standing at the threshold on the verge of transformation. And I realize that's why I've lived a great deal of my life. I've always been on the threshold, transforming from one chapter of my life up to another chapter, another level in my life. And I used to think of it like a game. I think about all the ways that I've referenced this and created little sort of visual stories to help you understand it, as well as reiterate it and cement it and solidify it in my own mind. And I remember thinking of Mario Brothers and how you advance to the next level, you accept gold coins and you go on and all these random things. But regardless of that, it's been about this threshold moment where we are leaving one chapter, leaving one version of ourselves, leaving one world and crossing the threshold into the next world, into the next chapter, into the next identity. And today I am in another threshold moment. I was in a threshold moment last fall when I left my corporate job. It was a very comfortable position. I was paid well. I was leading a beautiful project in New York City, a luxury project, and I knew it was time to go. And I made tough decisions, but I knew it was finally time for me to just let go. And I left that industry. I left the development side of that industry as a sales director on a project to bouncing around between a couple different brokerages. I'm a licensed associate real estate broker, so I will always keep that license. And in my mind, I thought, let's jump into working in real estate as an agent, because I always wanted to go back to this. And what I loved about it so much, and what I had to do like soul searching and deep realizations, is that what I loved about that part of my life, those like the first year in real estate, my first year in real estate, it was trying to figure out how to make this work, how to do this thing. And then within my first year, I was on a new development, and then it just kept advancing, and life kept advancing upward for me until I got to where I was. And I realized, wow, I really miss having my own ideas, working within my own identity, my own dream, and building something that doesn't limit me under someone else's umbrella, building something that truly is limitless, something of my own creation. And it's all up to me, which is an enormous amount of pressure, because it's like, okay, well, once you remove all of the limitations that you had before, like the person you report to or your colleagues, or the limitations of whatever it is you're working on, or the market, or whatever thing you can blame or point to as a reason why you're not succeeding, when you eliminate all of that and it's just you, it is an amazing moment and a moment of deep shadow work. I just did a ton of deep shadow work over the last week. Deep shadow work. I was noticing patterns, making connections within myself and my thinking. It was really just bringing up those old boxes from the basement that I mentioned and bringing them out into the light, dusting them off, opening them up and seeing like, what patterns am I recognizing here about my thinking? What fears and patterns within those fears am I recognizing about my thinking? Because there were a lot of them in various different packages, various different stories, various different I'll give you an example that might help. So one of the examples I came to realize was I was thinking about this new venture that I'm on, starting this business and removing all the limitations, removing the box that I got so comfortable working within, someone else's container. It was always someone else's container, but now I'm in my own container, or a container with no walls, so to speak, because I do believe that when you put yourself in your own container, you can do whatever you want. Like you're limitless, truly, because you have nothing other than yourself limiting you. So I was thinking about this, and I was looking at my husband thinking, does Jerry really support me? Does he really believe in me? If he really believes in me, then that gives me the will to really push through this and make this happen and make this successful because he believes in me. And then I started thinking, what if he doesn't believe in me and this is just like a facade and he's pretending to believe in me, but in the back of his mind, he's thinking, yeah, this is another Christina idea, and she has the money right now to be able to entertain this thought, whether she does or doesn't, but she's got a backup plan if something falls apart, and I will keep my mouth shut while she figures this out. So those are the thoughts I was thinking, and those are very negative thinking. Why? Well, first of all, the first one sounds positive. Like if Jerry supports me, I'll believe that Jerry supports me, and in believing in that, then I have the energy because I don't want to prove him wrong. I don't want to disappoint him. So I will push. But do you see the negative in that? Why am I placing the belief why am I placing the value in someone else's belief in me? Why am I not believing in myself? Why am I not more concerned about my belief and my capability? Why am I putting that value to inspire me and energize me and to not disappoint on somebody else who is important to me, no doubt. And people, I think, do this sometimes with their children and stuff. But why am I not doing that? Because I do not want to disappoint myself. Why am I doing that? Like, where in this scenario did I forget or did I lose sight that I am here to please myself? I am here to prove to myself everything that I'm capable of, to prove to myself that I have the business acumen, I have the understanding, I have the emotional intelligence, I have the skills, I have all the things I need to be successful in this new endeavor. Why am I putting that responsibility, putting that metric on somebody else to inspire me? Then on the reverse, the other side is, well, what if he doesn't believe in me? Okay, well, let's say you have a partner who doesn't believe in you. That's very possible. That happens a lot when your partner doesn't believe in you. Surely it's definitely helpful when you have a partner that's like, I know you can do it. You are amazing. You are so smart. You can do anything, and gives you that reinforcement. That is an incredible thing, for sure. And I'm not denying that. But what if your partner doesn't believe in you? Why are you putting so much value in that person believing in you? I think that your partner should believe in you. I really do. But that's not always the scenario that we get into, because if you're a visionary person and you have big ideas and big dreams and you finally want to exit your container and get into the era of your life where you are the driver, you are the force, you are the creator of what it is you're bringing into this world, your idea, your vision, you're bringing it to life. Why are we not thinking about pleasing ourselves? Why are we not thinking about proving it to ourselves? Why are we not thinking about standing in front of the mirror saying, I believe in you. I believe in you. I know you can do this. Here's all the ways that you've done something like this already. Here's all the times you doubted yourself and you found out you were right. Here's all the times when you bent yourself to go with the flow or to go with someone else's thoughts or opinions or decisions. And inside of you, you knew it wasn't the right choice, but you did it anyway. And then you realized it was the wrong choice. Here are all the times you've been right and didn't listen to yourself. And guess what? Here are all the times you've listened to yourself and been right. And how amazing was that feeling? That's what we're doing right now. We're doing that. We're doing another one of those things where we're listening to ourselves and we're creating something and bringing something into life. Our vision, our dream, our goal, our business, whatever it is, we're bringing it into this world. And I know you're going to do it because this isn't the first time. And I believe in you and I love you and I am here to support you. I am here to cheer you on. Why are we not having that conversation with ourselves? Why are we putting so much value in the encouragement of others, the validation in others? And I realize that is a huge part of my shadow, the validation from others. I have tried to, when I'm placed in a situation and I know I'm right and I say, oh, I don't want to do this because I feel like I have to explain my rationale right off the bat. No, I don't. And you don't either. You don't have to agree to do something. If someone wants to approach why you don't want to do it in a curious fashion, you can then explain, well, because of this. Oh, okay. And that's perfectly fine. But why do we have to over-explain ourselves? Why do we have to? It's a lot. I'm realizing a lot of this, and I'm talking so loud right now. I'm realizing a lot of this comes from this feeling of proving ourselves. Like in my situation, I have felt that I've needed to prove myself. I've been in constant situations where I've outgrown. I brought myself, if I didn't have this in me, I would not have left where I grew up in Missouri and moved to New York almost 20 years ago and gotten into an industry that I knew nothing about, nothing, and had no network, no funnel, no pipeline, no rich friends, no financial background, none of that stuff. I would not have gone into an industry like this had I not had this drive within me, had I not had this ability within me. But that drive also pushed me to feel like I was constantly proving myself, constantly performing. I mean, I even called some of the things that I had for work, like my handbag or my jewelry, real estate agent props, because I would take on this persona, this agent. I was performing. It helped me get to where I am. And that, I kind of go back to that whole accessing yourself in another dimension and pulling up, like, what would she do? What would she do? That's a little bit different because that is where you're embodying that. My performing was wearing a costume and speaking a certain way. It was the fake it till you make it, which I think can be beneficial if your head is in the right place for growth. But if your head is not in the right place for growth, then you're going to just be living a version of your life that doesn't feel authentic and not really you. And then later in your life, you may feel like, who am I? That could be what you could come up against, because I feel like that over and over again, because I realized that that's what I've consistently done. It got me far, got me out of where I grew up, but I'm still playing that same role today and still like taking on this identity now. So let's go back to the threshold, standing at the threshold, because that's where I'm at. I've been working for a year and a half creating a business that exists in my mind. I saw a huge gap in my industry, and I have a business, a service-based business that will resolve that gap. That will be an enormous game changer. This is a game changer in my industry. And I've been working on developing that. And somewhat, like, I have also been working on myself, like working on my sort of transformation from who I was to the woman that I need to be as a founder, working in that business, making those tough decisions, leading people, leading myself, not waiting for validation or for someone else to come along and say, hey, yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, yeah, Christina's right. You should listen to her. Oh, yeah. This version of me cannot have those things, because those things are what limit her. Those things are what limit me, seeking the validation, getting confirmation from others. It's not about that. The confirmation will come as the business develops. I give myself the confirmation right now. I know I'm an industry expert. I've done this long enough. I give myself credit for that. I'm not a junior agent anymore. Stop treating myself like a junior agent. Stop treating myself like somebody who doesn't know if her opinion is valuable or what she wants to do with her life is valuable. Stop treating yourself like you're a junior agent, Christina. Stop treating yourself like you don't know what you're talking about. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing. I do not need confirmation or validation. I do not need a partner to push me up or support me and tell me, yes, this is a great idea. I can learn to be both. I can learn to be the visionary and the executor. I can learn to keep my head in the clouds and come up with creative ideas and think about those things and make those connections, identify those patterns, and then be the person on the ground who can make it happen. I can do all those things. And so I come back to this threshold. I come back to the shadow work that I've been working on over all the years, but so much that has surfaced. And today is a very important day. Today is the day that I leave every other person's container. I put myself in a container after I left my corporate job, which is fine. I needed that container to show me that it's so amazing, because at the time I had the shadow work helped me see that. But in the moment when I had this realization that I put myself in another container, I was like, what the heck am I thinking? What am I doing? Like, why did I step backwards? What I was wanting to build, like what the vision I had in mind, was not someone else's container. It was my own thing. But yet I put myself back in a situation where I was within someone else's vision, building someone else's vision. And I needed that to push me, to show me that I am not meant to be led. I am meant to lead. I am meant to lead my own company. I'm meant to lead my own thing. I am not a follower. I'm not meant to follow someone else. That is the biggest discrepancy that I realize. And that is how and why I know that I can't stay in the situation I'm in, because I'm not a follower. I don't want someone to lead me. I want to lead myself. I want to lead my vision. I want to lead my own team of people that are helping me build this vision, that want to be a part of this vision, that are integrated within the vision and get to reap the rewards of the vision as it becomes a real thing. And so I hope you enjoyed this riff. I'm all worked up. All right, babe, sending you so much love from New York.